Welcome to CCN TV News, your premier source for local and international news. From the streets of Kingston to the capitals of the world, we are ready to cover you stories that shape our world. Stay tuned for breaking news.
A federal judge finding that DOJ's mass firing of thousands of federal probationary employees was likely unlawful, and now ordering the Office of Personnel Management to inform some of the affected agencies it had no authority to even make those cuts. One of those probationary employees, 24-year-old Michigan native Ryleigh Cooper, was just let go by the U.S. Forest Service and shared her heartbreaking story with the Washington Post. You see, Ryleigh has dreamed of becoming a mother. After a doctor told her that IVF could be her only hope of having children, she turned to Trump, who had promised on the campaign trail to fully cover the procedure. It ended up being the very reason she cast her ballot for President Trump this past November. Ryleigh Cooper joins me now. Ryleigh, welcome. Thank you for sharing your story. And I wonder, what was it like for you when you got the news that you were being let go?
It was really hard. I was on the phone with my best friend, Kaylee, at the time, and we were just discussing her life and how things were going. And I looked at my phone, and I had gotten a text from our union rep, and he told me that I was going to be fired the next day. And I told her, I have to go. I'm getting fired tomorrow. And my heart just sank.
I'm so sorry this is happening, and the frustration you must be feeling, and perhaps anxiety about what's next. And of course, we're hearing a lot about following the campaign and the elections about the mandate that people wanted to see a streamlined government, that they want to be able to right size it in some way and rid of waste and fraud. That was not the motivating reason you were voting for President Trump. Does that impact the way you see any of this?
Yeah, it's hard from my perspective to approach the current administration with hope. I've been dealing with infertility now for about a year. I've had multiple surgeries in my life. So, going into the voting booth, the main thing on my mind was the same thing I'd been thinking about for the past 11 months. And it was, I want to be a mom. And women who have gone through that experience, that heartbreaking feeling of wanting something that you might never have, they understand how much of your time is taken up with those thoughts and how overwhelming and lonely it can feel. So as someone who is more of a swing voter, sometimes that's what it comes down to, is those single issues. Because when you step into the voting booth, you're thinking of what's important to you and like the issues that are resonating with you in that moment. And for me in that moment, like, it took me a while, and I made a decision that, looking back, I'm not proud of, but it's the reality of my situation now.
Ryleigh, do you now regret the way you voted for Trump?
I do feel regret, and I've had a lot of tumultuous thoughts about that day in the election booth. When you're voting on something that affects you so personally, it's really easy to get tunnel vision, especially in a voting booth when you're staring at, you have two options, right? I mean, it's not like you're given an endless amount of options to achieve your goals. And so afterwards, when I thought maybe this is my chance, I also had to come to terms with the fact that I was likely going to be a part of, taking chances away from other groups of people. And that's never sat well with me.
I understand, sadly, you have been getting a lot of hate mail, a lot of negative reaction for even speaking your mind about how you feel since being fired. Can you describe some of that?
People online get very brave. They can very easily say terrible things to you that they would never in a million years say to anyone's face. I've had people tell me that, they hope that I never have a child and that I got exactly what I deserve. And as much as all of the terrible comments have been coming through, I've also received an immense amount of support, especially from women who have gone through IVF, who struggle with infertility. It's unfortunately a large group of us out there who deal with this. And I hope that more light comes to the issue of infertility. It's a terrible, lonely process. And I'm really glad that some people have reached out with, understanding, and they send me hope as well, which I appreciate.
Ryleigh Cooper, thank you.
Reflecting on her vote, Cooper now feels regret. She expressed disappointment that the promise of the IVF treatment has not been fulfilled and is grappling with the loss of her job and health insurance. Her story highlights the complexities voters face when single issues influence their decisions and the unforeseen challenges ahead.